Hey guys, it's Yuli, aka Brawlogram. This episode of the Squad Plug, Powergrifters episode 2, our focus is on Joe Stanek and the shit that he did behind the scenes with his lifters and to Game Day Barbell and that kind of stuff. It's more or less an introduction to what's taking place there, and it shows the enormity of his actions and his wrongdoings, while also showing how people in powerlifting have tried to put it on brush it under the rug over the years. What has come to light of late is not news. It's not stuff which has been unknown to people. This has been stuff that's been old news for a good little while. So please join us, listen in, and hopefully what you hear over here allows you to change your perspective on a couple of things.
Welcome to the Squat Plug, episode 20. 21. I am here with Yuli, Mateo,
And yourself.
and our wonderful producer, Bestar.
Yeah.
Of course, myself. I'm here. I'm speaking. But who is self?
You never know.
Who am I?
You might not be here.
I'm
You
trying.
might do it over Zoom like
I'm
some other
disassociating
podcasts.
as we speak. What is the meaning of life? No, I'm kidding. I'm here. I'm live. Alive.
Yes.
Yes. And we are going to chat about some spicy shit today.
Yes. This will be a spicy episode indeed. We're going to do our best to stick to just the facts, the things that we know, things that we have actual evidence for, and just basically just to shine a light on some of the things that are taking place in the powerlifting scene that many perhaps are not aware of.
Yeah. We actually recorded this episode. Should we talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should.
So
Absolutely.
we actually recorded this episode while we were at weigh-ins for
Yes.
Yuli at
No,
the
no,
Arnold.
the-
Equipment check.
Yes. So the day before the disaster.
So the,
struck.
the day before the disaster struck, we actually
delicious.
so delicious. We actually recorded this episode at Equipment Check, but the audio was
A little bit fugazi.
not the greatest, right?
Yeah.
So we decided to re-record this
That was also
for your listening pleasure, honestly. So
That was also
That's also
before
what it came down
Joe Gain was taking photos of Yuli
Oh, yes.
in the equipment check.
Either Joe Game
was
Day
that
or-
before or after?
So it happened right.
It happened
before-
like during
basically it happened during, but we're
during the podcast.
But I don't know whether it was Matt Holden or whether it was Joe Stanek, to be honest. So it was one of the two of them. One of the two creeps.
Joe Gain was right behind you, by the way.
So it was him.
So it had to be him.
Nice, awesome.
Anyways,
So yeah, at equipment check-ins, basically when we do the podcast, there's a little bit too much background noise, that kind of stuff. We just figured, I guess, we'd redo this and also like work on a little bit more accuracy, that kind of stuff, and just make this a more presentable episode itself.
yeah, I was also very tired, and
Yes.
once I listened back to it, I was like, I could just, I had trouble stringing together sentences.
Yeah, I remember.
I just kept saying the same.
There were
thing
some long
over
pauses.
and over, very long pauses. And I just kept saying the same things over and over again, and I was like, I think we could do a better job here.
So we'll talk about the past episode. Let's actually talk. Let's talk in this episode about what we need to talk about. So everything here begins essentially with
When they took a photo of Yuli from behind.
no, that's not
No.
when it begins. So it actually begins
goes
before
back
this.
a couple years.
It begins with a podcast episode by Two White Lights.
Correct.
Before we get into this over here. So in fact, let me get into just a little bit.
In fact, let's dive right in.
No, just a little bit, just a tip. So
Just to see how it feels.
so in the episode, the Two White Light episode, it's a whole bunch of these guys. I think it was Angelo Fortino, it was Steve Denovi, it was
Those are the two hosts, yes.
yeah, it was them, and it was also whatchamacallit, Joe Stanek on there. Was anybody else on there at the time?
I
think
don't
so.
believe so.
I don't think so.
So I think it was just
I think it was those three.
either way. So on that episode, Steve Denovi, who was freshly triggered off of some memes by Mark over here, decided to go on, and essentially seemed like he was pulling the mic over, just went out of his way to say, the worst power. Let's talk about the worst coaches in powerlifting. And
That is a wonderful impression.
thank you.
Sound just like it.
Thank you. And so, I remember hearing it. It sounded like Angelo was kind of taken aback by it. It seemed,
Yeah.
And so,
Well, it's funny because I actually listened to the episode to kind of refresh my memory recently, and Angelo was talking about a comment that I deleted of his, which was actual bullshit. If you actually go all the way back to the post, his
Really?
comments is still sitting there. Yeah.
I remember. I remember. Like that was after the episode, though. That came after the episode. So there.
Yeah.
So
no,
he
no,
may
no.
have made another
That,
comment.
I
or
think
something
that
like
comment was before the
What
episode.
comment are we talking about? Because I have zero.
I don't
clue.
even know. This
And the
post was like,
listeners have zero clue either.
2 years
So
ago.
he made a meme after the episode talking about it. Oh, but so you have heard of me or something like that.
That wasn't the same meme.
Oh, it was another one?
I'm pretty sure he was talking about the original meme that I made about Sean.
Okay, so talk to me about that Sean meme. Which meme was it?
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't really remember. This was after the whole fiasco where he allegedly tore his hamstring.
Oh, yeah, the slow tear.
Yeah, on the lift that doesn't really stretch the hamstrings much, but
okay,
we don't have
Not
to
the
go
way
into that.
I mean, the way he deadlifts,
Yeah,
no, but
it was
a
on
slow
squat.
tear of a hamstring doesn't happen. You don't feel your hamstring slowly tearing on you. It fucking snaps. That's it.
Well, he
tear.
alleged to do this on squat, and I'm not saying that he didn't feel some sensation in his hamstrings or adductors, maybe, which some people mistake for their hamstrings.
It'd be pretty tough to confuse an adductor for a hamstring.
Well, they are right next to each other.
And we're talking about the back of his leg and shit like that. You know, that's what
Yeah,
that's
I'm saying
that's what
like
he's presenting.
perceptually, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here. But he alleged to have tore his hamstring, which is just like a very unlikely injury. I mean, yes, maybe the adductor. Anyways, that's besides the point. He went and benched okay. He hopped. I remember him hopping off the bench and like running behind the curtain, and I was like, I thought he tore his hamstring on the squat. Like, how is he sprinting into the warm-up room now?
Oh,
like, and then he came out and whatever happened with deadlift, and I made a meme about it, and I don't even remember what the meme was. I don't even remember what the template was. Like, I would have to scroll back 2 years and start searching around the time of nationals.
So here's the one thing, though. All right, so let's go into that.
I know. I'm like,
everybody's
we're way off on a tangent.
So Steve Denovi gets into tizzy about this, and you know, like this is when you got your like he's a meme or not a powerlifting coach
he's a meme
reputation.
or not a powerlifting coach.
You know, I'm pretty sure other meme accounts and whatnot have made similar memes about that topic and other topics, and not once were they butthurt by that shit. It somehow seems to be okay. For some reason, you seem to rub these guys the wrong way. Like, legit.
I know.
So
I love it.
So they get on the episode and they start talking crap about Mark and that kind of stuff, and they're talking about the worst coach in powerlifting.
Well, with the yeah,
as the literal worst coach in powerlifting is right next to them on the episode, talking about bad powerlifting coaches and talking about coaches who coach
clients and going and
at that
people's DMs
at that same at that same time he was in my own lifter's DMs. Yeah. Legit, talking all kinds of crazy shit. So he's talking to my lifter and he's telling them how he's like, so his thing apparently, his spiel seems to be like he gets into people's good graces, right? And so he gets in there, he starts to divulge.
He seems like a charismatic individual.
I don't know if he's charismatic.
I don't know if that's the right word.
Probably the word choice here.
About what he was talking.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about what he's talking about. So he's trying to get his good graces, all this kind of stuff, fluff up his ego, that kind of shit. You know, per usual, like fucking cloud coach shit, cloud coach poaching maneuver. But then he goes to him and he divulges to him, and he says to him, and this is the stance. He says, so Joey Flex puts his lifters on test suspension. So it's a way to essentially get on steroids and to basically just to have it hidden and whatnot. Now,
and that's not your words again.
It's not my words. As Joe Stanek's words. I do know one or two individuals who are on Joey Flex's team, whether he knows it or not, and whatnot, who I can't vouch actually were on steroids. So here, that was like, oh shit, that's actually quite interesting, you know. But he was using it as a tactic to get whatchamacallit to befriend him and so on and so forth. Me and the lifter ultimately like parted ways, ended up going to a pretty bad fire, and they kind of fucked me and shit like that. And his responses at the time weren't conducive to us maintaining a working relationship. So we parted ways. And who did he start working with immediately? Fucking Joe Stanek. So this is the shit that's going on here. So he's talking about client poaching and that kind of stuff. He's talking shit about C.T. Whitney at the time. And lo and behold, he's doing it himself. So we're dealing with a very two-faced and hypocritical person over here. What's taking place behind the scenes and stuff he's presenting out in public and whatnot are two totally different fucking things. And on that episode, we have Joe Stanek talking this, that, and the other thing, while Steve Denovi gives him the pulpit, right? So this is basically, I want to say maybe 2022. You know, so maybe people, I guess, like are thinking that this is before people found out exactly who Joe Stanek was and what he was about.
Oh no!
Yes, so,
you'd be mistaken.
So he's been doing this since 2019, and I got in touch with quite a few people who were coached by him during that time, right?
And after list,
I have a whole list. I have literally the whole client list of people that he worked with while working with TSA. It's a long list, you know, and everybody supports the same thing. Being ghosted and so on and so forth and that kind of stuff. So let's just rewind. Let's talk about what happened in 2019 with him while working TSA. So TSA was charging him about 20% fees for each one of the clients he was working with, while working under the umbrella of TSA. His old Instagram handle used to be Joe_TSA.
Mm-hmm.
And then 20% was too much for him.
For the listeners who don't know, TSA is the strength athlete who is owned by
Bryce TSA.
Lewis.
Yeah. So 20% was too much for him to pay. So he decides to basically do under the table things. And all of a sudden they start leaving TSA's roster. And he's coaching behind the scenes, collecting 100% because 20% was too much for him. So this is the shit he was doing. They caught wind of this and they kicked him out of TSA. He was basically kicked out of there. Joe Stanek's douchebaggery has been around.
He was not kicked out of the powerlifting scene.
He was not.
Even within USAPL.
Nope. They
still got to do the same stuff again.
Of course. To Bryce's credit and to TSA's credit, whatnot, they didn't want to make a big deal of it. It seems. They didn't really blow him up the way they should have.
They should have. Yeah.
And so that's neither here nor there.
That's exactly.
So whatever happens, whatnot, he goes back to his own thing and becomes Joe Game Day. Interesting, So this is his own thing, whatnot. Goes on to found Game Day Barbell, that kind of shit. Gets on with it's him, it's Pug the Goat, it's Tim Thibodeau. So Game Day Barbell started off as just a whole coaching entity from Joe Stanek, right? That's what he was doing initially, and then Game Day Barbell became Game Day Barbell, the actual proper, the gym out in fucking Texas. It was him, it was Pug the Goat, Richard Cho, I think his name is and whatnot. Tim Thibodeau, and it was Nico Flores. The four of them teamed up together with Daddy Money and things of that nature and whatnot. And probably
I have a question
shit ton of
whenever
loans.
you're done with this.
Go ahead.
So, did he have sub coaches before the gym opened, by the way? Or
by that point, not that I can recollect, to be honest. Honestly, he popped up into my registry very late in the game. It was when he was getting into my clients' DMs and shit like that when I was let me pay attention to this. And we were at CNATs and he was trying to essentially soft poach you by trying to correct your bench press and shit like that while I'm standing by. Yeah, it's that's a no-go. Coach is there, shut the fuck up. Leave him
if you don't pause the empty bar,
you're
not going to get a start. You're not going to get a start.
Not to scare you, but if you keep benching that way, you're not going to get a command. I'm like, he's fucking benching at 225 at the time, the equivalent. I'm like, while being able to bench 400 plus pounds. I'm like, maybe mind your fucking business, So that kind of shit. But that's just Snake way of getting in. So they do that kind of shit with them, and problems start to show up immediately. I want to say a couple months after Game Day Barbell opens up, Richard Cho leaves. Reports behind the scenes basically say, and they sum up, and they say that he says, I see that I had a future with Hidden Village Iron, whatever the case is, or with 100. I don't see it over here. And from what I understand, the issue was Joe Game Day, Joe Stanek. Him basically disappearing and not taking shit seriously and that kind of stuff. And you're just looking at things from a gym owner perspective. When I opened up, I have a small hole-in-wall location. They saw off this huge fucking warehouse space. Huge. I can't imagine how much the rent is. And they had all these brand new Eleiko racks and Eleiko barbells and Eleiko plates and shit like that. How much is that gonna cost, bro?
Yeah, a lot of money.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
But also you got to think about the fact that yours was just like a one-man operation. They had 5 people running.
I know, bro. I was
probably a lot cheaper in Texas to get a warehouse.
It is.
New York City.
And also in Austin, that's where the Eleiko headquarters are. So it's a lot easier.
So they probably
to
didn't have to pay a ton of shipping.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure they worked out some.
You're
kind
still
of deal.
spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on that equipment.
Potentially, unless they decide to make it like a flagship gym, so Arsenal Strength has done it with Iron Vault. You have the Iron Vault in New York and the Iron Vault in Connecticut. The one in Connecticut, all the equipment that's there was essentially furnished by Arsenal Strength, to showcase their equipment and whatnot. Mm-hmm. I don't think that happened out over there, but I'm sure they had some kind of a deal. Again, the clout between those four individuals, I think it was enough for them to say, we'll give you a cheap deal. Just make sure, I guess, you have your shit, our shit in your gym. Yeah. So another question is, was it the rent? Was it maybe making payments on that kind of stuff? Because I can't imagine being paid up front. I know some of them were dabbling in the stock market at the time, but I don't think they're doing that well.
No.
Who are we talking about right now?
Don't get best started.
I remember Nico Flores doing a whole lot stock market kind of shit around that time. Interesting. So blah blah blah, that kind of stuff that takes place, and immediately these issues start to rise up. There's a meme page made. It's called "I Am a Bad Coach," and post after post is made about Joe Stanek in length. This girl Cass, whatever case is, makes a post talking about essentially showing the DMs between him and her. I think on Discord or something like that. They're going back. He's like, I'm just changing my systems and so on and so forth. Please stick around. I need you. People are leaving me. Blah blah. And this is a single man, right? So he has a girlfriend at the time, whatever the case happens to be. Zero responsibilities apart from the gym and coaching. That's literally all he had to do. And somehow he has a hard time, I guess, keeping these lifters, working these lifters, and like doing the right thing by these lifters. So came to my attention. I saw it. Again, I didn't pay too much attention to it. And then I started seeing like other things take place, whatnot. Like I want to see like other people come to me with stories about Joe Stanek and just how much of a nightmare the experience was with him and how they got ghosted and so on and so forth, over and over again. Like I'm gonna see whenever I make like a bad coach Instagram story, which we call it, like a little spiel, like ask like a Q&A and that kind of stuff. Stories of Joe Stanek would invariably show up. Joe Stanek would show up. Joe Sullivan would show up. A few other people who I'm not gonna name right now would show up like repeatedly.
All the common denominators.
Yeah. Sean Noriega will show up as well, by the way. Like speaking about the common denominators and things like the times and stuff over here. Despite the fact that people suck him off, like I didn't even fucking know, bro. But that kind of shit. So it was interesting. And then I found myself going out to California, and I'm out there for a meet. I'm gonna say September 2023, August or September 2023, I forget what it is. And I meet Gravasio out there, and we have a conversation, so on and so forth. And bro, the shit that he fucking does. So he had this kid sign up for like a 6-month contract with him, $250 per month, student rate. So like the actual rate is more expensive than that. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I think it's the 300s or more. That kind of stuff. And proceeds to ghost him the entire time. Kid gets into meet prep, like fucking no responses from him. Meet day shows up, no response from him, gives him some bullshit fucking numbers attempts, and the kid bombs out. He hits him up, and I think 1 or 2 months into coaching, and says, "Listen, I want my money back. This isn't working out." And Joe Stanek says to him that he can't pay him back. He doesn't have the money to do so. I get a chance to listen to the voice notes. You hear Joe Stanek going on length. I told you I was going to pay you every other week. I couldn't pay you every week. I need more time than this. And the kid's like, okay, I understand that. That wasn't the agreement. I'm gonna let my lawyer know. I'm gonna sue you, whatever the case happens to be. Mm-hmm. Promptly, the money is given to him. Shit like that. There's screenshots, by the way, before this happens, of Joe Stanek's bank account that he sends into the text messages. I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you doing?
And the bank account was in the negatives, probably.
Yeah, it was a negative.
That specific bank account. We don't know if he had other bank accounts.
I mean, who knows? Who knows? But like again, just to be in that predicament. So looking at this stuff, if you're charging $200,
just to put yourself in that position.
Yeah, but let's look at this thing.
Kind of speaks volumes.
Let's work on the numbers right now. So he did at this point in time have sub coaches. When he was working on a TSA, he was collecting 20%. Word on the street is that he was collecting 40 to 60% from his sub coaches. So 20% was too much for him, but he could charge 40 to 60% to his people.
Of course. He needs a bigger chunk of the pie,
While
baby.
doing nothing, yes. So he goes to his lifters, gets collects $250 a month. We had Crummy, who worked with him. Crummy signs up, works with him. He has back pain, that kind of stuff. He's working with John Song at the time, that kind of shit. And he lets Joe Stanek know that he's dealing with his pain, blah, blah. Gets his program. By week 4, he's programmed to do a single on deadlifts at 110% of 1 rep max.
Hell yeah.
How does that make any kind of fucking sense?
It doesn't.
How do you charge that rate? We have Andres, the same thing and whatnot, being ghosted left and right, fucking gaslit, that kind of shit by him. We have the other guy also DM me as well. I'm gonna say in total, I ended up with about like 8 or 9 individuals who came forward and told me stories about Joe Game Day.
And again, that's just people who just messaged you.
Yes. People just message me with my measly ass fucking following. I have no followers, so people coming out of the woodwork to let me know this shit and whatnot. It's a big problem.
You're up in the 2000s now, bro.
It doesn't mean shit.
You're a big influencer.
Big.
Oh, God forbid.
You know what the craziest part about all of this is, though? Is that after all this happened, after the public statement that Game Day put out, after
so let's talk about
the entire community.
So,
what?
Tell listeners, because some people may not be familiar with the Game Day statement. So Game Day Barbell, the gym itself, issued a statement this past November. What did they say? You
probably know the statement better than I do, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. So Game Day Barbell actually makes a statement, right? And it's it's February 1st. It's on November, February 1st. And it says, "Hi everyone, Game Day Barbell has experienced some personnel changes over the last couple of months. I would like to put some rumors to rest and clarify the confusion. In November 2023, the majority of members with controlling interest in Game Day Barbell LLC made the decision to begin the legal process of departing association with Joe Stanek due to his actions. This is in the company's best interest. To date, together with our lawyers and hopeful collaboration with Mr. Stanek's counsel, we continue this process of disassociation. Let me be clear, however, Mr. Stanek continues to be an active LLC member of the Game Day Barbell, despite his public statement that he is a solo entrepreneur. If Mr. Stanek has told you he is no longer with Game Day Barbell, that is an untrue statement." It goes on and on and on. He goes, and then he explains essentially why this took place. And this is Tim Thibodeau writing this. So credit to him for exposing him for the charlatan asshole he is. He goes, "According to observations, experiences, and opinions, Mr. Stanek has shown varying degrees of unprofessionalism, ranging from corporate duties at the facility to the responsibilities and operations. This is mainly why we were unable to host any powerlifting meets in 2023, which we deeply apologize for. Working with Mr. Stanek led to issues with certain powerlifting federations. USAPL stopped allowing them to do USAPL meets there because of Joe Stanek's antics. Federations, and is why we have not been holding meets. We hope that with the departure of Mr. Stanek from participation in our day-to-day activities, blah, 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 so on and so forth, and it continues, and again, our minds, the most pressing matter is Mr. Stanek's reputation as a coach in the powerlifting space. With several late programs, lack of communication, and by late programs, I mean, in other words, programs that weren't issued.
I mean, his reputation hasn't taken a hit at all. He was walking around the Arnold like none of this even happened.
Exactly.
And that's honestly what I was about to lead to, saying like this is the wildest part about it.
Let me just continue.
Go ahead.
Sorry, let me just continue.
It just kind of grinds my gears a little bit.
With several programs, lack of communication and inappropriate messages bordering on gaslighting have been sent to his athletes in private. Even being associated with his name has led to Game Day being viewed through the same lens, and this is true. I had a very unfavorable opinion of Game Day because of Joe Game Day. I shame you not.
No, you know? Same. I don't even know anything about Tim. I don't know anything about Nico Flores. I have known Pug the Goat because he's a big deadlifter and has been on Instagram for.
Not a fan at all. Not a fan of him.
I don't know anything about him.
Nico Flores, I don't know much about. I think he's like just a happy-go-lucky kind of goofy kid. I heard his coaching is not I want to say not the best in the world.
Probably better than Joe Stanek.
Anybody's coaching is better than Joe Stanek.
As long as you get a program from your coaching's better. The coaching's better than Joe Stanek's.
Exactly.
No, but I was just gonna say Joe was walking around the Arnold with these guys, Matty Holden,
yeah, I know,
whoever else,
who on the same date made a post on One Rep Methods with a podcast that they had been on and whatnot. And they're being all like buddy and shit.
Yep.
Well, just have their business folded. The Game Day Barbell ceased to exist because this person was scamming them over, bro.
Yeah.
This person ruined their business.
I know. And it's crazy to me that these people that they will just kind of pretend like nothing happened.
Well, that's a whole. I want to say that whole sycophant fucking circle out there, the circle jerk of clout. People fucking exactly. It's like, let's not rock the boat. We don't want to rock the boat.
Well, it's like a bunch of centrists. Yes. They don't want to take any stand on anything.
Precisely. But the issue here is that when that happens, they whitewash the shit that he did. Oh, it's just a joke. It's funny, edgy coach. He just fucking sucks at his job. Let's get over it, guys.
Yeah,
what's up with the Italian accent? What's up with the Italian accent? Why did you have to add that?
I'm just saying, it's just one of those things.
I'm just saying.
So this kid, what's it called, Gavasio, paid for 6 months. 6 times $250. If you hadn't threatened to sue and whatnot.
So it was a one-time payment of 6 months.
Yes, it was for 6 months of coaching. These are the packages he's offering out there. And imagine how many people he did this to.
Yeah.
And he did it to a whole bunch.
Well, in powerlifting, you don't really expect to hire a coach short term.
Yeah.
If you are invested in powerlifting and you want to,
which is fine. Don't get me wrong.
No,
I'm not knocking that.
I was just saying that all of us are invested in this long term. None of us plan to quit in 6 months. So it's not like I'm just going to do this 6 month thing with this coach and move on with my life. That's not, so you probably people are saying, I would be like, okay, if I can get a deal by paying 6 months in advance and I have the cash, why not? I'm going to pay the fees every month anyways. Yeah. If I can get a deal, he probably did that with a lot of people.
Yes, that's the whole thing. He's doing this with a lot of people.
That's my point.
He did it to Crummy. He did it to Andres. He did this other dude.
Yeah.
He did it to Cass. He did it to.
And then you take that. Yeah. And then you don't send these people programs, or you send them one initial program. You don't do any updates. You don't do any check-ins. You don't do any. And then it's okay, we're
Yeah, but he had hundreds of people. He was
I'm aware. I know.
So we're working with well over 100 people. And you're looking at these numbers coming into your direction.
Yeah.
100 times 250.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot.
Times 12.
Yes.
And then you have
no
money in your account.
Bank account.
Yeah.
While running a gym with 3 other people. It's not just you paying for the entire fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
So behind the scenes, what else took place is around September, from what I understand, this is what I was told. If I'm incorrect here, I would appreciate somebody in the audience, I guess, to correct me. But he basically gave up his position as CEO of Game Day Barbell. Tim Thibodeau became the CEO of Game Day Barbell because of the inappropriate shit that he was doing behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So let's go rewind a little bit further. Around that time, in September, we also had nationals. And then they had the NGB meeting. At the NGB meeting, Joe Stanek is complaining about USAPL and that kind of shit, to the point that Larry Mailer says, instead of complaining on your stories about this, how about you actually speak to us? He called him out.
I'm pretty sure he said that, or get the fuck out of here.
Or get the fuck out of here.
That's what I heard was said.
Because Larry Mailer has no filter, Kudos to him for that. but that kind of shit. And also from pretty good sources, Joe Stanek is pulled to the side by Steve Denobi. And Steve Denobi gives him
During
spiel.
that meeting.
During that meeting, after the meeting, I think,
Okay.
or before, whatever. It's like during the course of that meeting, and pulls him aside and gives him corrective action. Says, "Listen, you can't be doing this anymore. Give us a bad look, and so on and so forth." And said, I think the whole, the whole coach cabal, the elite coach cabal that exists out there.
The $300
somebody called it that.
a
I've been
month
calling that ever
coaching
since.
No, that's great.
circle.
Yeah, the cartel. In fact,
I
the
feel
coach
like it's
cartel.
not. They're not cool enough to be called
They really
cabal
aren't.
or cartel.
It's just a whole bunch of nerds, bro.
Yeah, they don't. They don't deserve that much
It's
respect.
so ridiculous. So that kind of stuff happens, and fast forward to a couple weeks later, he's on Two White Lights, fucking giving a Coach's Corner episode, with Angelo Fortino there. So I can't really come at Angelo over here and whatnot. Like if it's his coach, he has a rapport with the guy, that kind of stuff. You're kind of tied into this and whatnot. I can imagine like the moral quandaries is pretty complicated to deal with the situation itself, if he's even considering, to be honest, because who the fuck knows? I don't know.
Probably not.
I haven't spoken to him about it. I know what's on his mind. Personally, if I was in a situation, I'd be like, listen, thank you for the coaching. This shit's happening over here. I can't morally work with you any longer. I've made this decision in the past.
Yeah, I don't think people are.
But let me tell you this.
I've had lifters, like phenomenal, like, elite, I'm talking about internationally elite lifters, approach me to work with me, and I've had to shoot them down because I know the scumbag that they're up to. Not for nothing else. I mean, the reflection on me. And if I'm okay with working that person, shit like that, then what does that mean?
Okay.
Am I compromising my lifter's integrity by association? Do I want to? Is that the move? Or do I want to compromise my own integrity by that? And hell no. Like
I think that's respectable, to be
You know what?
perfectly
Let me
honest.
tell you something though, right? Look at it from the athlete's perspective. You are training, especially when you're like a high level athlete, like
sorry,
Angelo
I keep
Fortino
forgetting.
is,
I'm a
or,
local
like,
meat hero.
Yeah, you
Okay,
are.
Balmain expert.
You are. But if you're
Balmain
like
specialist.
like Fortino or like a lot of other Joe Stanek's athletes, or like high level athletes, you don't want to change a coach, especially when you're training for like a big meet or something.
So let me ask you this question in that case.
Yeah.
Since we're talking, and it's actually relevant to what's going on right now. So say you are currently getting ready for big meet.
Mhm.
And you are. And I'm coaching you. But now I have my other lifters and whatnot. Let's just say like Mark and these other guys. And I'm collecting the money, but I'm not sending them out to programs. I'm neglecting them and that kind of shit. And now it's put out in the open that's happening. Now Mark and these guys stop working with me. Now it's just me and you, maybe a few other people, more of my elite lifters who I'm working with. Would you feel comfortable continuing to work with me, despite the fact that I'm a scumbag?
I would just keep training with you. I mean, I wouldn't associate with you, but I would, like, you gotta make sure that you.
I think
you're making
Mateo
the
has a
most
good
progress
point.
you can.
I think
Like
he
at
has
the
a
end
good
of the
point.
day, like going with a new coach is gonna bring a lot of changes, and you don't want. If something is working for you, why keep changing?
Well,
shit?
I think you or I will draw a hard line in the sand on something like that. But not everybody has to do that.
They
And you
don't,
don't
but
have
they
to
should.
look down on someone for not doing that too, because
and I don't. So
not everybody wants to be in the middle of all the drama.
I know, but it's kind of, I think it's kind of different, because I've also heard the shit.
Yuli's like, no, I don't get it.
No, but I've heard the shit that's been discussed on their podcast. I've heard their stances and the actions.
I mean, I've literally heard them say, don't hire Mark Doherty as a coach
I
because
know.
he's a bad coach.
I know.
Or because he makes memes or something.
So in fact, let's
He does make pretty good content, though.
let's swivel back to
When he tried to look like a coach, he did a pretty good job of it. But he makes memes, so he's a bad person.
yeah. Ironically enough, like subpar powerlifting, who they suck off and whatnot, does nothing but make memes and provide some, I don't know, pretty questionable coaching, pretty questionable content in that direction, and his lifts are non-existent, I would say. You have to have no issues there. Anyway, I think it comes down to political thing, and you're pretty big on the whole politics thing, and obviously your politics and theirs don't align, so they decide to fucking be butthurt about
Nowhere
it to come
no.
at you.
Yeah, correct.
But let's
Because my politics are righteous and they're shitty.
so what we're seeing here basically is the problem itself is visible. They're seeing it, and it's not just Steve Denobi who saw the problem and then gave him the pulpit on Two White Lights to talk, and Angelo Fortino and these guys. There are other people out there in the industry who have seen this. This has happened since 2019. This isn't the first time this happens. This isn't the first time that he's been fucking like unmasked and shown to be the demagogue that he is. But now by having people like Barbell Union, I want to say being in close collaboration, well, not in close collaboration, but in close proximity to him, have conversations with him, like, smoking, joking out in public like Bam Bam was, and like, like like Matt was, and so on and so forth. So it isn't just basically like some coach being a schmuck and like doing some shady shit over here. It's actually somebody who's defrauding many people of not just a small amount of money, but a large amount of money. So these people can ill afford to spend that much money and to have it fucking basically, turn to nothing. $250 for a college kid isn't cheap.
That's not cheap at all.
And I know, like, Carmi, for example, definitely couldn't afford it. Despite my best, fucking efforts.
I think any of us would feel $250 a month.
Yeah, yeah. But debatable. Not about
all right, I feel poor now. Continue.
No. Listen, I'm an overtime whore, okay? Listen. So, that kind of shit. But, so, that kind of stuff. James, I hope you're not listening.
James,
don't get any ideas.
I'm up in your fee. Double.
That kind of stuff, though. So this shit takes place. And now the issue is that he is a criminal indeed and should be treated as such. You're looking at people essentially who are making light of the situation or brushing on the rug. And the reason why he's allowed to is because people keep brushing on the fucking rug. And
Correct.
the people who have the power to actually do something about this, like the Barbell Union people, by distancing themselves with them, instead fucking decide to
well,
work
that's
with
all
them.
it would take.
But
right?
now it casts into question their judgment. This dude collects your fucking business and you're still fucking being buddy with this guy in public.
Their judgment's terrible. They have zero integrity.
Bro, I know. And then the response that I get is that like, oh, we want to distance ourselves from him, yada yada. You're distancing yourself? How? How are you distancing yourself?
You got on a podcast episode, buddy.
Yeah, but in addition to that stuff that we saw, that's behind the scenes shit, right? And I see the snaky shit, the weird fucking almost like Democrat Republican on the yacht kind of dynamic taking place, But what we're seeing over here essentially is them also putting it publicly in the open.
Yeah.
Who told you? Who put a gun to your head and said you need to fucking make a podcast with Joe Stanek and joke around about this? And I have Bam Bam in the comment section joking around like, oh, I thought you guys were mortal enemies.
Ha 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 ha.
Like, are you kidding me, dude? And he had the nerve to fucking scowl at me.
I know.
I'm coming down the escalator, the best friend tells me, he's like, scowl in my direction. I'm like, really? How about you talk to me if you're upset? How about you come at me? Instead, Joe Stanek decides to fucking take photos from behind.
Take a photo from behind.
Fucking, soft as bullshit.
I have a question for Mark, though, right?
Shoot.
So, let's run it back a little bit, right? This whole podcast episode happens, you getting blasted. How did that affect your coaching business after that? Did you get affected by it? Yeah.
I don't know if crushed is the right word. I mean, when I first started, which was 2020, up until, I'm not going to say like from 2020 up until that podcast episode, people were banging down my door. But I was getting regular inquiries. That's probably around the time where I built the majority of my roster. I've picked up some new lifters like in the last year, but since the podcast episode, those inquiries have definitely dwindled down a little bit. And like, I do point the finger at the podcast because, I coach people in the USAPL. The majority of USAPL lifters listen to that podcast, a very popular podcast. So, and obviously the listeners of the podcast are going to look up to the hosts. And if the hosts are telling them, hey, don't hire Mark as a coach because he's a bad coach for X, Y, Z reasons.
He's a bad coach. He said he's the worst coach.
He's the worst. Yeah, I am the worst coach. No, I'm kidding. But no, it's definitely affected my business in a negative way. I haven't gotten as many inquiries since that happened, and it's definitely taken a hit.
So you've dealt with an actual financial loss over here because they got butthurt, decided to go to the podcast and blast you as the worst coach in powerlifting, while they had the worst coach in powerlifting actually nearby them, like on the same episode. So this is basically what took place, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
So what's going on with your current roster right now? I mean, like how many people did you end up losing because of this? I mean, what took place?
Well, I actually didn't lose anybody. I have had people leave the team since then because that was almost 2 years ago at this point.
Powerlifting confirmed.
No, I mean you're always gonna. You can't expect lifters to stay with you forever. They go on to new endeavors. Yeah. But for the most part, like the majority of my roster that I built up in that first 2 years is still with me. Yeah. Go ahead.
So something else, because the viewer audience has this impression, perhaps some of them, that Steve Denovi and Sean Noriega and Joe Stanek are like these infallible people. Joe Stanek is sending out DMs about the fact that everybody's leaving him. I know for a fact. I know people who have like worked with those other individuals, with Sean Noriega and with Steve Denovi, and also stopped working with them. It happens. You have, I guess, like a change in the rosters and whatnot. Mm-hmm. People, I guess, they go from one coach to the other, and it's all right. It's okay. You can afford to, I guess, like to have that shift in roster. If you're losing everybody, like the way that Joe Stanek is, that's an issue.
That's definitely an issue.
You know, that's a red flag right there.
Yep.
You're gonna have change though, no matter what. I mean,
You're definitely going to have
also-
changes, but I do think like your client retention does speak for itself.
It does.
You know, and the fact that I've been able to keep all of the people I've had on my roster, I have been able to get them stronger. Like they continuously hit PRs. Like if they weren't doing that, you know,
Yeah.
of course they would.
If they weren't doing that and they were listening to the podcast, they would have left you already.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
If you're actually not getting better, and then people out in the public are like, "This dude's shit." It's like,
Yeah.
You know, I think the problem is here. The problem is that you bench 300 pounds.
He will bench
wait,
it
I'm
though
sorry,
in a few
wait.
days.
Now there's Steve Denovi. Oh, what? Oh my God! I keep forgetting you have 20 points over his dots.
Well, you know what's
Wow.
you know what's
Holy
crazy
shit.
is people. It's
You're the
like
better
they'll
coach.
go back and forth
So
on
stupid.
that. It's like the same thing. It's like, oh well, you have
It's
you have a
shifting
low
goalposts.
dots, or you have a low total, or you haven't you know, it's like you haven't competed at high levels. It's like,
Neither has he.
but neither does this guy.
He's got like 2 or 3 competitions under his belt.
Yeah,
What
it's
are you
like
talking
so.
about?
Yeah, so like, how can you place those rules on me but not him? You know what I mean? It's
It's all bullshit, bro.
it's all bullshit. It
arbitrary
doesn't
horseshit.
fucking matter.
And,
Yeah.
and it really doesn't. I mean, if that was the case, we wouldn't be here together. I know how good of a coach you are.
I appreciate
You know, I've actually I do pretty decently myself. Thank goodness. And I thank my lifters.
He hasn't had Steve Denovi talk shit about him on his podcast. That's why.
No, he talks about behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Nice. Because he's a coward. But that kind of shit. But a lot of things that I've learned as a coach have also come directly from you. The shit, and I can discern the difference. Being a person who also comes from a STEM background, right? A science background. You know, I can discern the bullshit and I can discern the good stuff. I also come from a marketing background. I went to RIT and got my associate's degree in business management and administration and marketing. You know, and I got it while working while being taught by billionaires who fucking legit, they fucking did it. People did it, had free time, so fucking let me teach some people some shit. From people who were in the mix with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell when a person's a charlatan, or a person's a good marketer. And I can tell when a person's actually fucking knowledgeable here. And listening to powerlifting now, listening to the points that they're making, it's all shit they pull out of fucking ass, which is polished and looks fucking nice, it's well presented.
That's literally
And the shit
it's
you say is the actual nitty-gritty.
overproduced.
It is.
Speaking of powerlifting now, you want to talk about that recent post?
Oh my god, the new
We formulated a new
we
strategy.
formulated a new approach.
Oh,
So we know that RPE and percentages both have their strengths and weaknesses. So Marcellus and I decided to mash them up to formulate this new training approach. I was like, bro, I've literally been doing that for years. Like, all of us do that.
yeah, I know. So
Like, oh, you're having trouble with RPE? Like, this is the percentages around where you should
has that
hit.
down for
Like,
me. James prides himself on the most basic bare bones programming. And if you look at my program, it's a melange of fucking RP and percentages.
yeah.
You know, like this is pioneering somehow. This is like, you know, trailblazing. This is new shit.
I'm pretty sure I even have posts on that very thing.
You do. I scrolled back and I saw. a couple
I'm
of
sure
posts.
I had. Yeah, I'm
we talk
sure
about
I do.
percentages and how good it is and how you can use them in in the context of RP. So to see the chutzpah.
And what's hilarious is
To go on
he
say-
tried to say that, oh no, I didn't
Yeah,
say
no.
that I invented it. I formulated a new approach. What
Yes.
do those
No,
words
but,
mean?
But it's worse than that. For the past couple of years, me and Mark have been working, me and Marcellus have been working to formulate a new strategy in programming.
Well, Yuli and I have been formulating a new strategy called velocity-based training.
Yeah.
You guys ever heard of it? I
is
didn't
that?
think
What
so.
is that?
Emphasis on the base.
This is on the base. This is where we measure the bar speed to see how fast or slow it's going.
So I actually came up with a new paradigm shift in the
Uh-oh.
world of powerlifting
Oh my
programming.
God, I want to hear this.
Speaking to Melissa Samantha in the comments, and I came up with something like inspiration dawned upon me, an epiphany as it were, unfolded before my very eyes, and it laid it on my brain. I had 2 rocks run me together in that skull of mine. And I said, how about we roll a die? And the die dictates what happens there. You know, if you roll a natural 1, you fail to live by default. You know, whether you hit it or not. You know?
This is Yuli's specialty.
Yeah, oh, you definitely roll the 1 every time.
You roll it.
Even if he's Larson Preston for 4.
He's
Gotta
rolling
feel.
the 1.
Oh my God.
He's rolling the 1.
Every morning for the past week, I've woken up.
Like Larson pressed this for 4.
I just, not even that, just like face palming. No, but like like this little bullshit. So like 18 is like like fucking you hit the rack. Like 17 is like you have a slippery bench. So it's a new paradigm shift in powerlifting.
I love it.
I got to make an episode. I'm gonna call Marshall. I'm gonna have him film me. I'm gonna have him fucking like produce it and post it out there. That's what I'm gonna do. Marshall, if you're listening, you're hired.
You don't need
He
to inquire for the
has
job.
the money.
You don't need to inquire for the job.
He can pay you $250 a month. He won't even miss it.
Hey, it was implied. I didn't really say it directly. Okay. James, you better not be listening.
But go back to the part where like all the stuff you learned was from me.
Do I owe you a percentage? Do I owe you any royalties?
About 40 to 60%.
Well, legit, like it's shit like that. So
I mean, I love like sports science and exercise science. And,
no, no,
like,
but like, you also present it in a great way. That's the point I'm
Thank
trying to
you.
get to here. So the things.
But
that,
I had a nerve injury. It set my bench back like 2 years, and now I don't bench shit. So
we
everyone's
see-
like, he doesn't
no,
know
no,
what he's talking
that's
about.
smooth though. It's false. It's a false equivalency.
No, but people think.
So people are attacking you though because of the fact that they realize that is what I personally see myself. The fact that you actually can present some very nuanced shit and do so in a great way, whatnot, rubs some people the wrong way because they don't have the chutzpah. So I remember Steve we wanted to, like, I remember somebody reposted, like, and looking at his Reddit comments, he goes that he's saying that he's science adjacent. Never referenced a single fucking scientific article. Never posted anything that's like related to science articles either and shit like that. There's a whole bunch of shit. Like if fucking what's his name, the fucking Matt Gary fucking talks about some shit and whatnot. He's like fucking blowing him off, like saying, "Oh, Matt Gary, gobble gobble."
Matt Gary et al.
Yeah, legit. Or like fucking Brad Coolyard, what the case happens to be. And not to take anything away from them and whatnot, but if you talk about science adjacent, you're dealing with people who are working off experiential, like fucking like models. Brad Coolyard, from what I understand, works on a very technique-based kind of thing, and none of that is actually science-based. So science adjacent, where's the science, my guy? Or you just throwing that word up there to generate more authority, to convince people, I guess,
I would
what
say
you're talking about.
it's the latter.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. I see this. It's a marketing ploy. He is a marketing, he has a marketing degree from Purdue. Credit to him. He does a very good job of marketing, presenting things, and so on and so forth. But you have to actually question the source.
People hate when I ask questions, too.
I know.
They hate it.
But you're also an asshole when you ask questions.
I am, but like...
I did unfollow you for a reason.
I forgot about that.
But it's okay though. I mean, it's all right for a person to be an asshole. Acerbic truth is the truth. If you polish polish bullshit up, it's still fucking bullshit.
True.
And a whole lot of the shit that I'm seeing from that realm over there, from that side, is bullshit. But people like to hear that stuff because it works for the biases, it works for stupid ideas that they have in their minds. They say, "Oh, this confirms this idea that I had. Therefore, it's the truth. Therefore, this person's a genius."
That sounds like religion.
At this point, those people aren't even.
There are some parallels.
At this point, I don't even know if they're listening anymore. It's just Steve opens his mouth.
That's
and
what it is.
Like,
I know. Which kudos to him again. Again, kudos to him. The fact that he could get there. No.
I think part of, or me at least, is kind of mad that he's able to do that.
No, I get it.
I'm almost envious in a way.
I get it. But,
I am. I'm not gonna lie.
The man is running a business, right?
Because he talked shit about me and then is able to run his business.
So that's the issue. That I have a problem.
He fucked me.
I know.
And then he even said, after he called me the worst coach or whatever, in the next breath he said, "You really shouldn't mess with people's livelihoods," implying that I messed with his livelihood because I memed Sean Noriega. Yeah. Like as if. So
Sean Noriega, by the way, so many people, and surprising, it disturbs me how few people are like aware of his antics. The shit that he posted to his stories, shit he's done, and the people like in circles he's with, whatnot, are some of the most toxic fucking things out in powerlifting. Legitimately, and it's not just me saying because I dislike the guy. I dislike him because of the fucking toxic shit he does. My capacity to fucking deal edgy humor and whatnot. I know you guys, if you see my stories, it's up there.
I've seen it.
So if he's rubbed me the wrong way, there's something definitely wrong with this guy. Among the accusations out there is the whole situation, I guess, with some of his female lifters. Some inappropriateness and that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna get to the details over here and talk about that kind of shit. I guess
I wish we had some stronger evidence for that. But
we have some.
We have a lot of
speculation. We have some pretty compelling evidence as far as that's concerned. CNATs.
Let's not say.
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
Let's not go there right now.
So there's a whole lot of shit there. And he also flirts with neo-Nazis on a regular basis. One of them being Joshua Elliott.
That he definitely does.
Wolf's Law, who's been banned many, many times and whatnot, who trains in his basement with a Nazi flag in the back. The Black Sun, that kind of stuff. Who I've had
not to mention that subpar powerlifting memes or lifting memes. He's changed his name. Is in this little circle jerk. And if you go into his store, if you go onto his page, you click the link in his bio, you go to his store. He's got the Wolf's
Yes.
Law
Of course.
T-shirts.
So let's
So
talk.
they're all
But let's talk about Wolf's Law again. Just to point.
I just wanted.
No, but it's important that we paint this picture, and so people actually see exactly what's taking place over here. I've had conversations with Wolf's Law with Josh Elliott
Same.
in 2020 and prior to 2020, that kind of stuff. He came into my DMs and he was talking about all kinds of shit. And he was talking about like what you call it, genocide against
Dude,
black
I
and
have
Spanish.
crazy screenshots.
I know, but genocide against black and Spanish people. He was talking about a white ethno state, and he wasn't doing so ironically. He was talking about how he moved out of the cities because he wanted to have a place to fortify himself and protect himself from the incoming black tide, which is going to massacre and kill him. This is basically his mindset. Paranoid, delusional. You know, it's xenophobic. You know, it's this kind of shit. And he also, so he went from being some Californian kid who's adopted, whatever the case happens to be, to moving into Pennsylvania, from what I understand, and is currently a Greek Orthodox, like a practicing Greek Orthodox person. And how this ties into anything is that Sean Noriega, being a Long Island Cuban, went down that rabbit hole and ended up being a Greek Orthodox himself.
I don't know if you know, but he
switched back to Roman Catholicism.
Yes,
he went down back and forth. But to go from there to end up there, while being in close concert with this guy, and I know he's close concert because at Nationals, I saw what happened to him in the performance. I actually felt bad for him. I was like, this is pretty rough, yada yada. Maybe like my disdain for him and whatnot might be a bit of a stretch. Maybe he's changed. Maybe he's on to this new religious portion of his life. Maybe he's become a better person. So I follow him. And one of the first posts he makes the next day is a repost of some shit that Wolf's Law posts. Unfollow, fuck him. Like undeniably, like at a basic fundamental level, he has not changed. And of course, I keep getting screenshots of shit he posts and so on and so forth about him, like in white culture posts, talking about miscegenation and that kind of shit.
You know what the worst part is, though?
miscegenation.
Yeah, like
New word.
Miscegenation. You know what the worst part is, though? Nobody fucking cares.
They don't care.
They don't
really
care because everybody still likes and shares subpar stuff. Yeah. People still like Josh's stuff.
But the worst part about the Sean Noriega shit is I'll have people like feminists and so on and so forth, all that kind of stuff. Intelligent people will talk a whole lot of shit about him,
and
then engage with his posts and then suck his dick in the comments section.
Yes, correct.
And all that kind of stuff. So
I know.
So it has me wondering, like, where's people's fucking moral fiber here? Where's their integrity?
Yeah.
This is happening. It's a problem. You acknowledge it, admit it, and unsolicitedly, you're telling me this shit over here. And yet these are your actions.
I kind of wonder if people just aren't, I don't know if I have a good term for this, but like, just don't have the awareness or just not like, they're just not based enough to even understand a lot of these things.
So what it ties into?
Can I say something? Maybe it's the algorithm.
No, it's not the algorithm. It's not the algorithm.
No. I'm talking about like people not having the social awareness of politics. No, you don't think so?
So what I think I recognize it for exactly what it is.
I don't think so either because I have some examples as well. But anyways,
so what it ultimately comes down to basically is their own personal fucking greed, their own personal necessities, or like should I say, deemed necessities, because you don't need to associate with these people. Associating with these people is not going to make you a better person.
Are you trying to say that cloud chasing? Is that what
it's cloud chasing? It's dick sucking. It's dick riding.
Of course.
It's people basically trying to get close to him, despite the knowledge that they have of this person, because they feel like it's going to elevate them in their minds, and that does take place because now it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy. As you believe that, you lend it power. This is what these idiots are doing. This is one of the reasons why I'm really detached and I'm quite cynical in the posts that I'm making powerlifting with them, because of the shit seeing it happen firsthand. People pretend to be morally upright, just Christian and so on and so forth. Like you see them getting baptized and doing all this kind of shit, and you deal with this fucking person who's actually fucking.
No, the most morally corrupt people.
Yeah, but let's not.
It's just like it's this weird.
But it's just bizarre because you're talking about being morally uprighteous, and and it's more power to you if you want to get into religion, whatever the case happens to be. It's not my thing. God bless you, essentially, right? But if you're saying this one thing and yet you're condoning this other thing over here, this person's a womanizer. This person associates with fucking like neo-Nazis and shit like that. This person is the epitome of hate. He's out there talking about like how the women should be trad wives, yada yada, and they shouldn't vote and blah blah and all these fucking things. And women consort with him. He's trying to take away your fucking rights, and now he's a good guy.
They're not really following the teachings of Jesus.
Yeah,
I'm serious. They're not.
I don't know. So it's just this weird shit over here, and just like it's not that it puzzles me anymore because it's gotten past it. I understand the mindset there. It just it disgusts me. And I see it there. And the problems that exist in powerlifting is because powerlifters are fucking spineless creatures. They're all out there. They're dick riders by default. And none of it does anything to benefit them because they've been riding this dick for a good long while, and nothing, they haven't elevated themselves.
A similar group, and if we were doing
everything.
Strongman, if we were doing weightlifting, if we were doing,
I'm sure, but it's
whatever.
I'm sure. There's just, I think the navel gazing aspect.
We could be gamers. I'm sure there's fucking shit group of people
I think
that we could talk about.
I think the navel gazing aspect of powerlifting, whatnot, like I say, the navel gazing feature of powerlifting, causes that to happen a little bit more. You spend a little bit more time focusing on people's programming, that kind of stuff. You're exposed to them a whole lot more shit like that. You see that stuff happening, and then it's that much more insidious.
That's fair.
So I don't know, man. It's just it's wild to see this happening. I mean, when it comes down to them running their own businesses, more power to you, that kind of stuff. But people have a false impression these people are the pillars of powerlifting, and that they actually give a shit about them. They don't give two flying fucks about them.
No.
Because so long as this stuff is happening,
that's clear.
Yeah, but so long as they're being buddy-buddy with the individuals who are victimized countless fucking people over here. What does it tell you about them?
If you actually cared about the sport and you cared about the growth of the sport, then you would distance yourself from the people who are bringing the sport down.
So you as a shepherd of your lifters, or to use Christian terminology and whatnot, are working with these people, and now you see this happening here. You're working with the wolf, and there you're with your sheep. How can I trust you? I guess how can I trust you with your flock? As long as you're consorting with the wolf.
Sorry. No, you're right. Honestly, right. It's just the terminology is making me laugh. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, it's not laugh. It's because it's ridiculous. The entire fucking thing.
This is what it is. This isn't a laughing matter.
No, laugh away.
I'm sorry.
But this is what has me ill at ease, which is why I think it's a bigger, more fundamental problem than how many people understand it to be. Because this tells me that if your lifters are in a way of fucking danger and whatnot, it's just clout in the mix. You don't give two shits.
That's true.
If there are other people's lifters in the mix over here and clouts in the mix, you don't give two shits. And these people do a whole lot of moralizing. I see him talking shit regularly about what's his name, Derek Thistlewade and other fucking people out there. They put this air of superiority on them, even myself, even Mark and so on and so forth, because we have different beliefs, because we talk a certain kind of way and whatnot. And yet in reality,
that kid was so mad because I kept talking about training hard.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, sorry I said that you should train hard.
Oh, you're talking about the blocker?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
sorry, Lord. I said that you should train hard. It's
bro,
like
it took one Apple meme for me to get blocked.
I got blocked by association.
Talk about catching strays. Mateo's been blocked by Joe Sullivan. He's been blocked by fucking Briani. He's been blocked by fucking Steve Zanobi. Also, let's talk about the Steve Zanobi blocks. So Steve Zanobi blocked me for making a comment under Mark's fucking post. And it was like a neutral comment. I'm like, hey, I guess it's good for business. They're talking about you.
That was the one with the Jack Sparrow.
But he had you blocked.
Yeah.
So he couldn't see your post. No, he didn't even have to unblock you. So he probably used a third-party app to view your post to see the fact that
you want to hear something funny?
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah. You want to hear something funny about that? So that post you're talking about, the Powerlifting Now post, right?
Uh-huh.
One of our guys, Danny Torres, commented on that post saying that you did not invent this.
Uh-huh.
And then he was also blocked by Stephen O, right? So Steve Denovi unblocked him just to respond to his comment. And then he blocked him again.
What a loser. Oh my God. Dude, what a nerd. Oh my God.
Unblocked him just to try and explain himself and then blocked him again.
So for your post, he had to find your post, stalk your page, and then stalk your comments to see the shit that was made. By the way, when that had taken place, he was stalking my stories regularly. Because I was coaching Max, and he was like fucking fixated. Like he'd be in my stories all the fucking time. I remember putting up a meme back then about here's a red carpet for all the fucking elite of powerlifting who are in my DMs right now. I had like fucking Jamal Browner, I had fucking John Hack, and all these guys. Like Steve Novi would be a fixture there. Right, apparently I was like, oh, look at this fucking, this guy thinks he's like, some kind of interesting coach, whatever. Like, I had zero respect for my mind back then, and even less so right now. So he'd stalk my shit, but, and then he stalks your account while blocking it, and then goes through the comments and blocks that as well. If that's not a red flag about what kind of a personality he has, just how fucking, I want to see how much of a fucking tyrant he is.
Dude, and the amount of people, when I started
Bro, who the fuck does that?
When I made those stories, the amount of people that reached out to me and told me similar stories. Oh, he blocked me, he blocked my friend because he liked this comment. Like people not even commenting, just liking comments.
Yep.
he'll block those people.
So
too.
he stalked your blocked account to
That's
see
some
your
Paul,
blocked
that's some Paul
post.
Carter shit. Right
Yeah,
there.
bro, the red flags.
I know.
So these are demagogues we're talking about over here.
I know.
So he can pull this shit out of his ass and sound confident about it and fool people and whatnot because this is what sociopaths do. Demagogues doing shit like that. They talk about whole lot of shit out there. They're charismatic as fuck, whatnot, great presentation, yada yada yada, but there's no substance to it. And meantime, anybody who questions it, they're the enemy in their minds.
Pretty much.
Instead of like taking from the aspect of maybe I can learn something from this experience over here, from this exposure. Maybe there is something I can work on over here. Maybe I can take something from this person and we can collaborate together. He takes it as a threat.
Oh, take some ownership.
Exactly. But that's the whole thing.
Evaluate your own beliefs.
But it comes from the fact that he and people like that themselves realize that ultimately they are fucking taking advantage of people, and that they are living what you call it.
That's when you have to just come to terms that you're a charlatan.
Basically, that's what it comes from. It comes from that position. You gotta deal with people all the fucking
You're
time.
like Bateman from American Psycho.
So I had people coming at me for I had people coming at me for the Obama thing and so on and so forth, and I blocked 0 of them. I had somebody fucking make womp comments and all my fucking posts, which is weird, by the way. Fucking 12 o'clock at night, like in series, and I liked every single last one of them. I'm not gonna fucking block it. By all means, show your ass on my fucking page. That's you fucking showing how much of a fucking douchebag you are, And like me trying to censor and whatnot, it tells you where I'm coming from. I'm guilty of something there. I fucking bombed out. Nice, fantastic. I'm not a womanizer. I'm not.
You bombed out. That's worse.
I'm not a person who fucking like defrosts his lifters and whatnot.
I agree.
I'm not a fucking douchebag like these guys are. I can have another meet. You can't regain that character you've lost.
True.
So I don't know, man. I think
he might be able to among certain circles.
So those circles are very ill-informed. Like these people basically just that where they come from in their beliefs and so on and so forth isn't based off of rationale or like logic. It's based off of what can I get for myself by association with these individuals. And once that takes place, spineless jellyfish. So once I see a person is guilty of that and whatnot, they lose all respect in my mind. Like I keep a distance from them. We may still talk and whatnot, but I know you. You've identified yourself as who you are.
I barely like to talk to you guys. I'm not talk to people I don't like. Oh, fuck out of here.
So I don't know. So it's rich that he would have him on a podcast talking shit about you as the worst coach in powerlifting. We'll have him nearby, and frankly, I believe knowing his fucking secrets, being okay with it, while moralizing and all that kind of shit.
That's the thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Is like
the hypocrisy.
They know how. They know all this stuff about him, and they just let him continue to do that.
Until it became cool to hate him, and then they decided to distance themselves. This has been an open secret for a good long while, and I've been talking about it for a while too.
Yeah, same.
So it's crazy to see how things, I guess, like fully come full circle. So ultimately over here, the thing is that he should be distanced from powerlifting. He should not be a part of it and whatnot. The fact that a barbell union deigns to make jokes about him and with him and so on and so forth is setting people up for further abuses, whether they want to acknowledge it or not. Because I've had some at-length conversations with Matt Holden.
Mm-hmm.
And that he basically, he showed me that all he cares about is his business interests. When I ran into him prior to bombing out, by the way, because I ran into him, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be here all day long and whatnot. Maybe, we should do, make it less awkward." I'm like, maybe it should be awkward. And he just shriveled. He went, "Oh," because I don't care about that. Like, it's like, I don't respect him. I can't respect that shit. I'm still working on getting the inside scoop here. This is not done. You have more shit that's coming out for this. This is
Powergrifters Part 3.
I want to say this is more or less an introduction, as it were, to the actual things that went on behind the scenes, that went on under the surface.
We got some spicy material.
Yes, we do.
That we want to divulge, but we're not quite ready for that yet.
We're gonna keep this for another episode.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, I guess that's a good time to end it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us. Have a great night.
Yeah.
And don't get scammed.
Don't get scammed. It's a good.
And don't bomb out.
Don't bomb out. Peace. Don't open with 192.5 on bench ever.